Good afternoon. We are live at the Bass Lecture Hall here at the LBJ School of Public Affairs on the beautiful campus of the University of Texas at Austin. This is the KXAN On Politics Austin mayoral debate. I'm Robert Hadlock from KXAN News. Joining us are the three candidates on the ballot for the May 12th election for Austin mayor. Our current mayor, Lee Leffingwell, was elected back in 2009. Before that, he served on Austin City Council. Mr. Leffingwell is a Navy veteran and retired airline pilot. Our next candidate is Bridget Shea. She is also a servant of the Austin City Council. She was elected back in 1993. She is a co-founder of the Save Our Springs Alliance. Shea is now a consultant, an environmental consultant. The third candidate in the race this year is Clay Defoe. He describes himself as a citizen activist who closely follows the Austin City Council. He is a 2008 graduate of the University of Texas, and Defoe currently works as a tax preparer. Some ground rules for this afternoon's debate. Our panelists will ask questions and candidates will have 2 minutes to answer. Rebuttals will be limited to 1 minute. Candidates may have an additional 30 seconds to respond when necessary. Each candidate will have 2 minutes at the end of this debate for a closing statement. We're also taking questions from our live audience and our viewers. You at home, you can submit your questions right now at our live chat at KXAN.com. You can also email your questions to debate@KXAN.com. This debate grew out of the Leadership Austin Engage series. That's where community leaders and key stakeholders meet to discuss the big issues affecting the capital city. We took a poll at the latest Leadership Austin event to ask people what are the most important issues facing the city of Austin. Economic growth topped that list, improving education was a close second, and protecting water and the environment rounded out the top 3 issues. Our first question for the candidates this afternoon comes from Sherry Greenberg, who is director of the Center for Politics and Governance. Sherry?
Thank you. What do you see as pressing problems in the next year after the mayoral election? How will you position the city to be prepared in the next 5 to 10 years?
Let's start with Mayor Lee Leffingwell.
Well, obviously, economic growth is very important. We've been very successful over the last several years. We've created thousands of jobs in Austin. We're going to continue to create thousands of more. We've been recently named as the top city in America for the next decade by Kiplinger's and the best performing economy in the United States by Brookings. The Bureau of Labor Statistics recently rated Austin number 2 in job growth in the entire nation for 2011 and number 1 in the last 8 years. So we're very proud of that record. It didn't happen by accident. It won't continue by chance. So we're going to continue to do that. We're also working very hard on transportation issues. Beginning with our 2010 transportation bond issue, we're looking now for more alternate solutions to transportation, not only roads, but also increased pedestrian facilities, bicycle facilities, and trails. We will continue to work on mass transit. I've done a lot of work on that as chair of the Transit Working Group. We're looking at mass transit options to include several kinds of rail, including urban rail, commuter rail, also increased bus rapid transit, express buses, high occupancy lanes on some of our major thoroughfares. In addition to that, we're looking at charter changes to our city government to increase, actually for the first time in our history, to have geographic representation on the council. I've supported that since I was first ran for council back in 2005, and I continue to support that. I think it's essential now that we're a huge city. We're over 824,000 people, the 14th largest in the country. We need to represent all parts of our community, and I will continue to support that.
Ms. Shea?
I believe that affordability is probably one of the most important issues facing this community. The American Statesman just ran a story last week that said 2 out of 5 Austinites are fighting to make ends meet. That's 40%, and that's higher than both the state and the national average. I think we really do have very serious issues. Lee says everything's great and getting better, but not under his policies, which have shifted the cost of paying for new development largely onto those of us who live here. We have very high water rates. We've had a 100% increase in our water rates in the last 10 years, even though we're using less water than we did in 2001. That was our highest water use in 2001, and even though our population has expanded, we have not used more than that amount of water, and yet our water rates have doubled, and we're looking at another increase in water rates over the next 4 years. Our electric rates are poised to go up 20% for residential ratepayers, and that's an unfair burden. 80% or more for churches and houses of worship. It's a lopsided and unfair electric rate increase. We have a water crisis. All of the climate data indicates that we're looking at extreme high temperatures and extreme drought in the future. We need to do much more to conserve water and to reuse water. San Antonio is beating us in both of those categories. We need to do more. And on traffic, this is one of those top 10 lists I hate to be on. The most congested city of our size in the nation, year after year. I will work diligently with the Toll Road Authority to shift truck traffic off of I-35 and onto 130. We were sold that toll road with the promise that it would relieve congestion on I-35, and it hasn't. If you've ever driven on 130, there's hardly any traffic on it. You could practically take a nap on it. It's so underutilized. I'll also address schools and particularly affordability.
Mr. Defoe.
Our greatest challenge in the next 5 to 10 years is keeping Austin affordable for all of our citizens here. Unfortunately, our city council is pursuing policies that really put our citizens in a bad spot. The corporate welfare that has gone through City Hall is certainly unfathomable. Mayor Leffingwell has authorized, in the past year alone, $250 million in state grant funds for Formula One. He approved a $4.3 million development fee waiver for the Marriott Hotel downtown, and also gave Apple, one of the wealthiest corporations in the world, an $8.5 million tax rebate. If we're going to address our basic needs and infrastructure here in Austin, we need to end the corporate welfare, and I will be willing to do that as mayor. I want to invest in our infrastructure, widen roads where we have our biggest congestion problems, also make more sidewalks and storm drains, basic needs that our community have and our citizens are really crying out for. We're facing a very serious electric rate increase right now. The council is having our citizens believe that it's inevitable. And if we look at Austin Energy, it's really not, folks. Our energy utility is facing a $75 million deficit this year alone. But what the council's unwilling to divulge is that they're using this year alone $105 million from the energy company's revenue, siphoning it off and spending it on items in the general fund that are completely not related to energy production or delivery. It's the wrong policy. It puts Austin at risk. I'll work hard to keep Austin affordable. And it's simple, folks. We need to address our spending problem down at City Hall, and I'm willing to do that as a candidate for mayor.
Mayor, I'll give you a chance to respond. He mentioned you.
Well, obviously, affordability is a major concern to me, and I would point out with regard to water rates that if you're a low-income, low-volume user, your water rates are lower right now than they were 4 years ago. And if you're an average user, 7,700 gallons a month, your water rate is about $33 a month compared to Corpus Christi with $38 a month. So we're not the top. We're somewhere in the middle on water rates. With regard to electric rates, Austin Energy is in the bottom 50% of the rate structures. Utilities, public and private, across the state of Texas. We are undergoing a rate case right now. And when the dust settles on that, we will still be in the bottom 50% of all electric utilities around the state of Texas. So I think it's very important to keep that in mind, and also taxes. That's an important element in affordability. The city of Austin has the lowest property tax rate by far of the 5 major cities in Texas, including Fort Worth, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, by far. So on a number of fronts, we're working very hard and have been very successful in keeping Austin as an affordable city.